Welcome. My name is David Yang. I'm originally from Beijing, and I'm with the Office of Engagement's UVA Clubs team, as well as a recent grad of UVA and a current graduate student at McIntyre. Congratulations on your admission to the University of Virginia, and thank you for joining today's virtual admitted student celebration. This event is brought to you in partnership with the Admission Office and the Global Affairs Office. A few housekeeping items to begin. This session will be recorded and will be sent to all session registrants within the next few days. Live closed captioning is also available by clicking the link in the chat in the second browser window. These captions can be translated into 100 languages. Just click on the gear icon in the upper right corner of the caption window and select from the drop-down menu. If you have questions throughout today's discussion, put them in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Our behind-the-scenes staff will respond to your questions throughout the program. If you have any specific admission-related questions, please visit Office of Admission website. A link will be dropped in the chat. On behalf of UVA Clubs, I'd like to welcome a warm Wahoo welcome to our new Who's. Over the course of this program, you will hear us refer to the word clubs in two different ways. There's the more traditional way, as in student activities and clubs. But you will also hear about our UVA clubs, which are a global network of alumni, family, and friends. These clubs offer many programs throughout the year and allow you to connect locally with UVA. We hope you take some time to visit our website to learn more about what your local club has going on. We'll drop a link in the chat for more information as well. Today's program will feature a discussion with our 5 panelists about their experience at UVA. This discussion will be followed by a Q&A with our panelists answering some of the questions that you submitted when you registered. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to our silent moderator from the Office of Admission and the International Studies Office, who are busy behind the scenes answering questions as they come in through the Q&A feature live at the bottom of your screen. Now, I would like to welcome our Vice Provost for Global Affairs, Ambassador Steve Moll. Ambassador Moll is the primary lead on global relations at the university and oversees international activities. He is responsible for overseeing and developing a wide array of services, programs, experience, and strategic partnership that promote global imagination within the university community. Steve?
Good morning, David, and good afternoon and good evening, depending on where you are, to all of our newly admitted international students and their families. I am so excited to be able to welcome you into the UVA family starting this year. And we're really excited to be having you part of our community for the next 4 years. But as you'll very quickly learn, being part of UVA isn't just a school experience, it's really like a lifetime family experience, and you will make friends and develop networks during your time here that will support you for the rest of your life and help with your continued growth and professional and personal success. As David mentioned, I'm the Senior International Officer here at the university, and we promote all sorts of international opportunities for our entire student body. But my number one priority is to make sure that all of you, our international student community, it feels very welcome and well integrated and well supported throughout their entire time here. You will make us an international institution, and we really value how you will enrich our lives as a university and our reputation as a university. You'll be coming to school here and you will learn a lot over the next 4 years, but just as importantly, we're going to learn a lot from you about your cultures, about your histories, about your background. And this will be very much a two-way conversation that we'll be engaging in with you for all of your time here and beyond. We'll be working very hard to give you the support that you need to prosper here. All of you should already have received, if you haven't, you will soon, an I-20 form, which will allow you to apply for a student visa and arrive here in the United States, in Charlottesville, in time for the start of the fall semester in August. And if you have any concerns or questions about that whole process, please do be in touch with us as you prepare, and we'll be ready to help you. I also draw your attention to a number of programs that the university will be running during the course of the summer, all of them virtual, to start orienting you to the various aspects of life here at UVA, what to expect in your studies, what to expect in the course registration process, what you can look forward to in terms of activities and support for your health during your time here. So please be sure to enroll and participate in those virtual sessions, which will be held during the summer. That all leads up to a very special student orientation program for students and their families beginning on August 20th, later this year. And I look forward to meeting so many of you in person when you get here, and make sure that you get off to as good a start as possible. Our support for you does not end with your arrival. It's really the beginning of a regular network of support that we will provide for you and your families during your whole time here. There will be seminars throughout the year, for example, on how to navigate life in the United States, how to prepare for career opportunities that you might have here, and just to provide a regular way of exchanging views and experiences with us and with each other. Every week, we have an international student circle that brings international students together to help each other, to ask us for help in supporting you, and we very much hope you participate in that. We have an international student house that has a big picnic every year, but throughout the year, it's a gathering place for our international student community to share arts and culture activities, food recipes, and just to be together in fellowship and companionship with each other and with all of us. So I am so eager to welcome you here. Please, I want to say to you and to your parents, since it is such a high priority for us to support you, to please be in touch with me and my team in Global Affairs and in the International Studies Office on any concern that you may have. It's our job to make sure that you're taken care of and well supported. I'm available 24/7, so don't be shy about reaching out. I look forward to engaging with you.
Thank you so much, Steve. And as you mentioned, we are a very tight community here at UVA, and I think food is definitely a very important component that brings this community together. And I certainly felt very welcomed and supported here on ground at UVA. So can you tell us a little bit more about some of the ways that UVA supports students during their time on ground in terms of academic wellness, social opportunity, and career preparations?
Absolutely. So every undergraduate international student will be matched up with a mentor, another student from your country, and they will be they volunteer to help you, and they will be an important partner for you in helping you orient and get oriented to life here, both academically and socially here at the university, and that will help a lot. We also have a team of global greeters. They're student volunteers whose number one job during arrival week will be to welcome you and help you get moved in to your dormitories and help you get settled there. They too will often check in on you going forward to make sure that everything is okay with you. We have a very good student health system that, again, provides 24/7 support for all of our students. It's a beautiful new facility right here on grounds, and it also provides consultations on medical questions and health questions, not only in person, but online through virtual engagements as well. And they can help you with everything from dealing with a cold to an allergy reaction to helping people who have mental health concerns. And they are there to support you every day, each day, and every day. Socially, there is so much to do here at UVA. We have over 1,000 registered clubs, clubs that you can think of for everything. All of the countries that have large student populations here have their own clubs for students from that country to support each other and to and to bond together so you don't feel so homesick. We have every sport you can think of has its own club, from badminton to tennis to swimming to rugby. And so there are many opportunities there. There are singing, musical groups, dozens of those. And any interest or hobby you can think of, there's a club here to match it. So very early on in the semester, there will be a student activities fair where you'll have an opportunity to learn about things that you can do. Beyond the university, Charlottesville is one of the most beautiful places to live in the United States. It's surrounded by mountains and lakes and rivers and streams. And if you like outdoor activities, whether it's running or hiking or biking or fishing, there are so many opportunities to enjoy really throughout the entire region that we live in. So there's going to be a lot to do here. Don't forget to study. That's also very important. But there's much more about UVA than studying. It's a really whole person experience, and we look forward to supporting you in developing your whole person.
Thank you so much, Steve. And yeah, UVA is definitely a fun place for me. Although luckily, I was able to also stay focused on the academic part, which is great. But there's so many different things that the university offers and that the student community offers. So, Steve, do you mind talking a little bit more about their families? I'm sure a lot of parents and families are nervous about their student being so far away from home.
Absolutely. And I can tell all of the parents who are watching now that I completely understand how you're feeling. Before I came to UVA 6 years ago, I was an American diplomat. I worked in every continent around the world except Antarctica during the course of my career. And I know what it's like to be separated from friends and family and to be far from home. I remember when I was living overseas in Poland a few years ago, and my son was a student in college. It was very difficult to see him off to college and then head off overseas myself. So I can relate to all of the emotions and concerns that you have. So it's a stressful time, but I hope you will be comfortable in knowing that your kids will be in very safe hands with us. We'll take care of them. We have extensive healthcare support for them. We have a good social network here. We have good counseling support and advising support. And so every aspect of their existence here as a UVA student will be well supported by part of the university. But I can't underscore this enough. If any of you ever have any concern about your student here, please be in touch with me. As I mentioned earlier, I'm available 24/7. And if you have a concern about how your student is doing, I want to know about it as soon as possible. And I encourage you to be in touch. And I promise you, I'll work with you to address your concern.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you for sharing that. And we're going to have you hang around for a little bit longer, but I'd like to introduce our panelists right now. First, as a quick reminder, live closed captioning is available for today's program by clicking the link in the chat in a second browser window or on your phone. These captions can be translated into 100 languages. Just click on the gear icon in the upper right hand corner and the caption window and select from the drop-down menu. Without further ado, I'd like to invite our guests to join us. Great to see you guys here. And why don't we start by introducing ourselves? Mika, would you like to start?
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's nice to, well, I don't see y'all, but I hope y'all having a wonderful day today. My name is Mika Villanova. I am originally from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Right now, I'm residing in Washington, D.C., where I work and live. So I'm very close to still the UVA community, only 2 hours away from Charlottesville, or 2 hours and a half, I might add. But when I was in UVA, I studied media studies, and I did a minor through the Com School in leadership. And right now I work at Ogilvy as within like their public relations team. So it's very nice to have you all here today.
Thank you so much, Mika. Fabio, do you want to go next?
Sure.
Happy to. First off, congratulations to everyone for getting into UVA. Fun adventure coming your way. I'm Fabi Chaillo. I'm originally from Mexico, but I am living in Switzerland right now in a small town in the Alps. I graduated 2017 from the Com School and currently work in the Office of the Executive Director doing internal consulting type of work at the Global Fund, which is an international financing organization that invests in public health programs to eradicate epidemics here from Switzerland, but for the whole world. Congrats again and nice to see you all.
Thank you so much, Ali. That sounds amazing. Pablo, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Pablo Garcia. I'm currently a fourth year here at UVA. I'm an economics major and I'm minoring in data analytics and entrepreneurship. Right after graduation in May, I'm going to be working in JP Morgan in Miami in their wealth management practice. And yeah, as Fabi said, congratulations everyone for getting into UVA. It's a huge accomplishment and happy to help you guys with anything you want.
And congrats to you, Pablo, for about to become a UVA grad.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Farrington, parent of a 2023 graduate. We're from the Bahamas, and that's where we are right now.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sarah. Well, we're gonna start our discussion part of the panel by going around and tell us a little bit about your time at UVA, including what activity you were involved in and what made your UVA experience meaningful. Well, we're gonna start with Fabi.
Happy to. So my UVA experience was amazing. I mean, it was such a dream, truly, really special years in terms of personal growth, the transition from into adulthood and discovering my likes, my interests, my hobbies, making the best friends with the friends who are still my closest friends more than 10 years later, professors who are still my mentors, lots of academic and professional growth that now set me on the path that I'm in. And overall, just really fun. It was a very happy time to reflect back on. I was involved in a lot of things at UVA. I came in with the attitude of trying out everything. And so I was in student government all years, from like my dorms council the first few months to trustees my last year and eventually Commerce School president. I played tennis on the club team for a little bit and in varsity for a little bit. I was in a sorority, which I didn't even know what those were before school. In my country, those didn't exist. But I ended up meeting my best friends there. And I was in many clubs and societies, and some with leadership experiences, other mostly just for fun, like Kukru, which is a sports fan club, like Madison House volunteering with Special Olympic athletes. I was in Sustained Dialogue, which is a sort of like a debate club. Salsa club, and I had never danced in my life before that and ended up like choreographing my last year. I like tried shooting club for a semester, beach volleyball for another, and then I was in a women's business forum. Like it was really a melange of different things, and probably a few other things that I'm forgetting, but all of those experiences made my experience amazing, from the fun activities but also the people that I met throughout.
Wow, that's great, Valley. I'm amazed by how many stuff you squeezed into that 4 years. It was amazing. Pablo, as a current student, would you like to share a little bit more about your past 4 years?
Yeah, sure. I've definitely not done as many stuff as Fabi, but I have been able to engage a lot with the UVA community. So when I started, I joined a club called Towards a Better Latin America, which is just like an organization that seeks to like benefit Latin America by donating money to social causes in the region. We also host like some social events here in Charlottesville, which is a great opportunity for us to get to know other Latinos. And in my third year, at the beginning of my third year, I decided to create a chapter of a national organization called Alpha, which seeks to improve the careers of Latinos in the US. So I created the CIO. I learned how to make a club at UVA, which is actually pretty easy to do, which is probably the reason why there's so many. So if you want to create your own club, it's something that's really doable. And during that year, I also worked on creating the peer mentorship program for international students, which Steve mentioned in the beginning. which has been a really rewarding experience because we've been able to benefit. I think last year it was like 300 or 400 students, and all of you who are coming in this year too. So yeah, I think that those have been like my main involvements here at UVA.
That's great. And talking about student clubs and CIOs, UVA has more than 1,000 student clubs and CIOs organizations. And as Pablo has mentioned, it's very easy for you to start a club if you couldn't find the specific interest that's already there. Miko, would you like to share about your experience?
Sure. So same as Fabi, I kind of came in with an open mind about trying everything. I was very excited. So I was involved in quite a few organizations, but some of like my key highlights were the Latinx Student Alliance. I kind of joined that in my first year and then grew. And then I remember my third year, I was the president of it. So that was very fun. I was involved in a lot of peer mentoring programs. So there's a lot of mentoring programs around UVA that you can join. And that was actually one of the things that I enjoyed the most. Always like finding mentors or even like helping those that are incoming. So a lot of mentoring programs. I was part of the radio at UVA. We were the only Spanish radio that had like a Spanish program in the student radio. So that was very fun. I also was an MLI fellow, so it doesn't mean much the name, but we were a group of students, a very selective group of students out of the student affairs office, and we always strive to do the best for the UVA community. And then my kind of like highlight was being a lawnie. So that was fun to live on the lawn during my fourth year. But I think if I had to kind of like talk about my experience, really what made it everything worth it and what it made it so special is the people that you meet along the way. There's so many people that come from all over the world, but also people that are here from Virginia that are more than willing to kind of like take you and show you around. I remember one of my best friends that I met here. Her family was here, and I had never celebrated Thanksgiving. I didn't know what it was, but it was fun for my first year to be able to for her to invite me to her home and kind of experience that. So I think my highlight that I always mention and I keep, holding close to my heart is the people that you meet along the way. So I think that was what made my UVA experience the best one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I also had similar experience building those very meaningful relationship that still goes on even after I graduated from UVA. Sarah, would you like to share a little bit more about your daughter's experience at UVA? I'm sure she probably told you many great stories and great experience she had here. Sarah, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yes, Ellie loved her 4 years. She's now living in Madrid, having graduated. And I will say, as a parent, international parent, getting to come and visit and all the things offered in Charlottesville and UVA were wonderful. And one of the things that, as a parent, we really enjoyed was the parent fund, which is suggested. It was suggested by other friends from the Bahamas for us to join. And they help raise money for the other clubs, but it's a really nice way to be involved as a parent, to meet other parents that you wouldn't otherwise get to meet, but also to attend events that UVA is offering and know where to go and what to do, because otherwise you can feel a little overwhelmed and a little lost. So I would say the Parent Fund was one of the highlights and one of the things that really made us feel a part of what was happening with Ellie at UVA.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you. Well, I first got to UVA about 5 years ago, I was a little concerned about the transition and how that would look like from Beijing to Charlottesville. Pablo, what does your transition experience look like from your home country to Charlottesville?
Sure. So my transition was really weird because it was during COVID. So I started at UVA in January of 2021, which is definitely a very different time for you than for you guys who are going to start in August of 2024. But I mean, I knew a lot about the US because come here often. I'm sure a lot of you have, a lot of you haven't, but it's totally fine because there's a lot of resources for you to like get to know the culture, um, and interact with other students. For me, it was useful to get in, like to know other students who came from my region. So um, I talked to a lot of kids who were coming from Latin America since before I came, which was great because when I got here, I had like a few friends. So who to go to the dining hall with and all that, which I think is really important for you guys to try to connect. And I think that your mentors are gonna also help you out a lot with that. And something else is just like trying to get people, trying to get to know people from your dorms. Because I mean, for me, in my case, that was all I had because we didn't have like in-person classes or clubs or anything. But I think it's still the case right now that getting to know the people from your hall is also really important because you're gonna be around them for your whole first year, and they're often like some of your best friends. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I think that's basically it.
Well, thank you so much, Pablo. What would be your one piece of advice that you give to our incoming students in terms of adjusting to this transition period?
I think it's important to be really open in the beginning. Try to go to as much things as possible. Try to get to know as many people as possible. I'm kind of a shy guy sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to like be open and meet people. But I think during your first month is more than any other time during your first month. It's really really important to do this. So yeah, that's what I recommend. Just be open at the beginning and try to meet as much people as possible.
I love that. That's great. That's great. Mika, would you like to share a little about your transition experience?
Yeah. So I also had a weird transition. It's kind of like getting used to kind of the new normal. I was very, very excited. I was very enthusiastic. I remember I lived my first year in the International Residential College. That is one of the residential colleges that UVA has. And it was very fun to kind of like find people that were in the same situation as me. But I remember clearly one cultural shock that I had in Argentina. When we greet someone, we give them a kiss on the cheek. I didn't know that was something that didn't happen in the US. So it was very funny when someone that I've been talking online because, you know, I was trying to get to know people before I came. When they saw me in person, they're like, oh, hey, Mika. And when I went to greet them, they pulled back because I had pulled in to give them. It was a funny story that I always tell. But you start getting used to kind of like the mannerisms that people have. Like when someone, I remember when someone opens, or you open the door for someone, or like someone opens the door for you and you say thank you, rather than saying the full like you're welcome, they're gonna do like the little like it's very like funny mannerisms that you start to get used to. But I think the transition is easier when you are like open about it, when you also find people that are in the same situation as you. I know UVA has this organization called Global Greeters. So it's a group in UVA that their mission is to welcome international students and make sure that they know about the resources, that they have what they need. And to be honest, it's a great situation finding people that are in the same circumstance as you. So yeah, it was about adjusting, but also about learning and about also like sharing your culture. I remember I love cooking. So through the International Center, I was like giving classes about how to make empanadas and connecting with the community through my own culture, also made home a little bit closer. So finding pieces of home and also finding people that will make your new home for you.
Thank you so much, Mika. And for me, I can also speak on, you know, sharing those great moments with your first year friend, learning their culture, adjusting to the culture here in Charlottesville was although a challenging but a fun experience. Fabi, would you like to talk a little bit more about your experience?
Sure. So I would say that when I was reflecting on like my first transition from home to college, it was not always easy. Like I think just to be honest, like I did have times where I missed home and I missed my family and I thought, what did I do? But it also was made easier by the strength of the community, the people. I think everyone has said the same thing. And very quickly became my happy place, and the place I like still, 10 years later go back to, and want to feel comfortable in more than any home I grew up in or anything. So it quickly changes around. My biggest advice is remember you're not alone. Other people are feeling the same way. And that's not just international students, that's also everyone who you come in with. Like, it's a big change for everyone. And it's normal if you don't feel at your top, and just keep reminding yourself that you're not alone. Like, sometimes I remember thinking, oh man, everyone seems so happy and everyone seems like they're really enjoying themselves, and like, I kind of miss my mom or whatever. And then I realized 3 years later, when I finally had good friends that I could talk to about these things, that like everyone was going through the same exact thing. Americans, internationals, everyone. So remember you're not alone, and rely on each other, because the community is really what makes the experience. And remember that like it's a culture shift for you, probably bigger than for Americans who are coming from not that far, but it's also a culture shift for them. So they're also coming for first time into a campus, living by themselves, not having people cook for them. Like, it's a change for everyone. So you're really not alone. Another piece of advice I would say is keep yourself busy with fun, healthy, and balanced things that you like doing. I personally found the social life a little difficult to adjust to when I first arrived. I know for most of us international students, we're coming from countries where the drinking age is younger, and then you get there and the drinking age being older makes the social scene a little strange, and the drinking culture different than most of our countries. I found that to be a big shock, and it took some time to get used to. But the best way that I was able to deal with it was the transition, in the transition, really immersing myself in healthy hobbies. So my tennis, my salsa dancing, while also going out and having fun at night in fraternities and all of that stuff that everyone did. But it didn't have to be my all and my everything. Like, there are people and there are clubs and activities for every interest. And so for all types of things, like, feel free to immerse yourself in other things that you actually enjoy. Don't feel the pressure to do one thing or the other more. And then my last piece of advice is don't segregate yourself to just the people from where you come from. I know some people in the Latin community hung out mostly with the Latin community, and I also have really good friends from that. But I really pushed myself to also hang out with Americans and join a sorority, which was mostly non-internationals. And I love doing that. So I would recommend that you immerse yourself also outside of your comfort zone.
Thank you so much, Ali. That's some wonderful advice for our incoming student. Well, Sarah, as a proud parent of a WHO, you have quite a unique perspective here. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it's like being a UVA parent? I know you mentioned a little about the Parents Fund. And what advice would you give to our family as their student transition to UVA?
I would echo what was just said in the support and everybody around. And I was amazed at such a big school, the amount of support that we felt and that our daughter felt. She had a bit of a difficult transition after Christmas of her first year, and COVID and other stuff was happening. And the support that she received, but also just the quiet calls we got from people that we had met along the way that said, oh, we saw Ellie today in the dining hall, she seems great, or she seemed a bit quiet, so we took her to go and do something. And then she met a whole group of great friends that are still her closest friends, and 8 of them lived together and joined all sorts of clubs and all sorts of interests, and some were American, some were international. So I would just echo that the support system and the feeling of family is amazing. And at one point I didn't know if she would love it, and now I look back and think I can't believe that there was ever a question, because everything couldn't have been better. So
thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you. Well, as Steve talked a little bit earlier about what support structure are available to UVA students and their families, we also like to hear your perspective from our panelists on how UVA supported you during your time on ground in terms of wellness, social opportunity, and career preparation. Pablo, since you're our current student, why don't we start with you?
Sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out for a second. Can you please repeat the question? And now you're on mute. David,
You're
you're
on
on
mute.
mute.
You're on mute, David.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, I guess I'm still adjusting to the Zoom life. Well, so Pablo, do you mind sharing a little bit about the support structure that we have at UVA for student in terms of wellness, social opportunity, and career preparation, and your experience with that support system?
Yeah, sure. So on the career side, which is what I'm most familiar with, the Career Center is a great resource. I used to go really often. They can help you out with like very general stuff. Like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. What should I do? And they have a bunch of resources for that. They can help you with your resumes, cover letters, like applications, helping you like to meet people who work in the industries that you want. And I think that it's a great resource that not a lot of people tend to like use in their earlier years in UVA, and they definitely should, because often people just like wait till their third or fourth years to start with that, and I think that that's a big mistake. So I definitely recommend going your first and your second year, even if you have no idea, especially if you have no idea what you want to do, because it's a great help. Um, on the like the health side, the student health building here is amazing. They opened it like a couple of years ago. I live right next to it, so I go often, not just like for medical appointments, but there's like a bunch of study spaces, wellness spaces, uh, which are great. And I think that there's like a great amount of resources to help people. There's like a large CAPS services, which is counseling and psychological services, which are like free, I think. But don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. For most, they are great. For all students, which is also in that building. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of resources for everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pablo. And speaking of the student house building, it is actually funny that during final season, when libraries are packed, now some of the better study spot are actually in the student house building right next to the clinic, which is kind of a surprise. But for our incoming student, if you're looking for a spot to study during midterm finals, student house building could be a good place. Well, as I mentioned, the UVA Club's global network earlier, Misa, as a recent grad, do you have any, Mika, do you have any thing to add about support on grounds, or would you like to talk a little about UVA still support you after graduation in terms of your career and life, and how you connect with other alum?
Absolutely. And also one more add to the new building that they did. They have an amazing kitchen. So if you ever want to cook there, you can, and it's great. But yes, UVA offers a lot of support in terms of I agree, totally 100% agree with the career center. There's a lot of support in terms of like counseling. You don't know really where you want to end up after you graduate. There's people that can talk you through that process that can help you with your resume, career applications. 100% agree with CAPS, Healthy Foods, like a lot of people that are there to like kind of like have your back. But also I'm gonna say is the student advocate groups. Students are your best advocate and the best support that you can have. And the power that students have at UVA, I feel, I don't know if it's, to be honest, I'm gonna say it, quote me on this, is unmatched, because students have really the power to drive their passions and even seek their passions, what they want to do. You can fight for it. You can make yourself heard. there's a lot of like student led groups, and the student led groups really provide also a lot of support. We have our student council that also addresses a lot of issues around grounds. So really a lot of like student power that UVA has, that a lot of changes have been made by students, and I kind of want to kind of highlight that. But when it comes to kind of like after graduating, there's a lot of alumni groups around the world. And I know here in DC, we do have one, and it's very fun to kind of like join some of the events that they have. It's really cool if you move to a new city and you don't know a lot of people, you know, you can always rely on who, or when you're walking down the street, we see someone with a UVA shirt, you go wahoo wah, and they're most likely going to answer you. So a lot of camaraderie that you can find within our community. And also, especially for different communities like the Latinx community, I know we have the Bolivia Network that is also an alumni group. They do a lot of Latino-based events around the US. I know in DC they had several ones. So a lot of support that you can find both on grounds and off grounds after you graduate. So I think those are my bits and pieces of what of some of the resources that UVA has. And I know they have way more that I cannot even like mention how many.
Thank you so much, Mika. And I think you also set us up great for my next question, which is on student self-governance. And as you mentioned, it is a very important part of UVA life. Fabi, you mentioned earlier in the introduction part, mentioning that you were involved in many of the student self-governance organization. Would you like to share your experience and your story with that?
Sure. So first off, you might be thinking, what does student self-governance mean? I know I heard that term a lot my first year, and I didn't really understand what that meant for a while, even though I was part of the students self-governing. It basically means that a lot of the university way of running, or the clubs, the activities, even budgets that the university has, are made and managed by students, which is a really unique thing. Most universities do not function that way. So UVA, from its founding by Thomas Jefferson's vision, had this idea of the students really being at the center of how the community functions. And it's again, really, really unique thing about UVA that makes students shape the culture, shape the administration, shape decisions that the university is taking, from small things like what kind of activities we're going to have on a random Friday, to really big things like curriculum changes, or the honor system, or even like what direction like the governance, the president, for example, or the vice president, provost, like stuff like that of the university are taking, because they really listen to the students in the leadership position. On the other hand, it's a really cool thing in terms of opportunity to learn. You get to be thrown in to really lead and manage a budget, and lead sometimes teams. Most people don't get to do that until after college or their first internship or something. At UVA, you get to do that right away if you're in leadership positions, and there are many opportunities to do that. So it's a really cool way also to get experience that you will be able to utilize in your professional experience as well. So it's things that I talked about definitely in all my interviews. It's like, oh, when I ran for this position and got elected, had to campaign, or when I had to manage a committee, all of a sudden I was the quote unquote boss, where we were all students, we were all peers, but you have to learn to do that. And there's skills that are transferable and really help you in interviews and for the long run. So it's really amazing. And I would say this is something that's amazing undergraduate, but also continues as a young alumni. So it gives you cool opportunities. I think we talked about how strong the alumni network is everywhere in the world. I've also gotten the random wahoo in the Alps in Switzerland. So yeah, you get that everywhere. But the leadership experiences and the student self-governance continues. I was part of the Young Alumni Council for the Commerce School, and I was a trustee, which basically just means like student government for young alumni after I graduated for various years. And I'm still involved in some like global clubs and leading the local Switzerland alumni branch. And these are all, again, opportunities that expose you to skills, to people, to a network, but then also continue to let you shape the university and the culture.
Thank you so much, Robbie. That's wonderful and amazing. And well, for me, while I was an undergrad, I worked on Student Council's International Student Affair Committee. And that's also how I got to know Steve and many other great colleagues who support international students here on ground. And thank you so much for sharing your thought with us. Well, and as a quick reminder, live closed captioning is available by clicking the link that is just dropped in the chat in the second browser window. These captions can be translated into 100 languages. Just click on the gear icon in the upper right hand corner of the caption window and select from the drop-down menu. Now we're gonna shift gear a little bit to talk more about some of the questions that came through during registration. We had so many great questions, and unfortunately, we won't get time to get to all of them right now. But our colleague will drop some link in the chat about orientation, housing, and international student and scholar program. And at the end of the presentation, we'll also provide resources and a list of other opportunities to connect with UVA and ask questions. And our behind the scene moderator are still answering your question that come in live in the Q&A box below. And thank you to our silent moderator for their great work on responding to your questions throughout the program. And as a reminder, we have a moderator from the Office of Mission and the International Studies Office. Clubs and activity were by far the most popular topic in our pre-submitted question. UVA do have over 1,000 clubs, as I mentioned, here on ground. And that covers just about any interest that you might have. And we'll drop a link in the chat box for our student activity site, where you will be able to find a list of current clubs and more information. Well, looking at our pre-submitted questions, one thing that popped out to me is someone is interested in learning more about how students engage with their professors outside of class and what opportunity are there to interact with faculty. And Steve, I think it would be great to hear this from a faculty perspective.
Sure. We were talking earlier about Thomas Jefferson's vision in founding this university more than 200 years ago. And central to his vision for this university was to develop a very close relationship between our faculty and students, that students learn best when they have good personal relations with their professors. And we take that very seriously more than 200 years later. Each new student will be advised at least one academic advisor to work with each of you in helping to make decisions about what classes you would like to take and other opportunities outside of the classroom that can help you develop during your time here. We also, all of our professors have office hours and are available for individual meetings for each of the students. If there's a problem that you don't understand in class, please go by to see your professor and she or he will be happy to take time with you. I don't teach full time here, but I gave a lecture last week on nuclear diplomacy, and one international student had some follow-up questions, and she came, and I was very pleased to spend 45 minutes with her working through with her questions. And that's not an exception. Our professors view that as one of their most important responsibilities here. We also have an informal network of advising. There's something, if any of you are interested in going into public service, either in the United States or back in your home countries, whether it's in diplomacy, in public health, in environmental sustainability, and a number of other tracks, we have a special co-curricular program called Public Service Pathways that will give you advice on what courses to take, to open up opportunities for you to have internships in your area of interest, and to pass on other contacts to you to help you develop a network to pursue your interests. So we really try to support every student from every possible angle.
Thank you so much, Steve. And well, my other fellow panelists, feel free to jump in to answer the questions that you would like to answer and add your perspective.
Can I jump in on the professor question?
Of course, of course.
So I wanted to add that that was something that was super cool undergraduate. Like professors really are there for you, and they're always in their office with their open doors to get to know each other at a, like, yes, academic level, but also at a personal level. Like I had professors who I literally talked to about like dating advice. That's how close we got. And I had professors who became mentors for my career when I felt completely lost about what to do. And now, like, it's been 7 years since I graduated, and I still, every time I go back to the US, to the East Coast, I always visit Charlottesville and visit my professors. Now, sometimes I go to their houses nearby. We get a beer at a local brewery, but I still have really, really close relationships with my professors. They help me like write my letters of recommendations for master's programs. Like it really, once you build the relationships, they continue for life. They were invited to my wedding. Like professors also can become really close friends, and they're incredible people. UVA recruits really well. So I really recommend that you tap that network and you actually like get to know your professors. There's a lot of programs that you can use to, if you think it's like kind of awkward to just show up at their office if you don't have anything to talk about, you can also like take a professor to lunch or take a professor to coffee. There's like all these different programs that are sponsored by UVA for you to make this a little smoother and get to know your professors. So I recommend that you take advantage of them.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Ravi. And I actually took my professor at comm school out for lunch last fall semester. We're talking about his journey coming from China to the US and how he become a professor here. Actually, both him and his wife are professor at McIntyre, which is wonderful for us. And while we all love our professor, we eventually go on winter break, summer holidays. So one of the question was, what do you guys do during holidays? And did you go home or stay in Charlottesville or travel around the US? I think this is something that a lot of the parents and students are a little worried about where they're going to go during the break. Mika, would you like to start off?
Sure. I always like to keep myself busy. As I mentioned, I had a lot of friends that will invite me home for like any holidays. But I know, for example, there's this iconic class. I don't know if he's still teaching. Hopefully he is. But he teaches Intro to Microeconomics. And he has this tradition for all of his international students. He invites them over for Thanksgiving. So there's a lot of things to do during the holidays, and also students have a lot of programs, especially those that cannot go back home. If there's a specific holiday you're celebrating, I know a lot of people have a lot of friends that celebrated Ramadan, and they had a specific group that they would always like gather together early in the morning to cook for everyone, and then everyone will come to have a meal together for Eid Mukbang. So really a lot of like nice things that the community does. For me, especially like during my holidays, I always called myself a workaholic, but I had the opportunity to work within some departments of UVA, so I got to learn a little bit more. I remember I worked for the Office of Admissions, so I used to do a lot of these webinars for international students that were interested in applying back in the day. I also worked for Housing and Resident Life, so really I try to explore my summers here in Charlottesville, they were very unique, and it was fun also when I got to go back home. I got to see my family, or my family took advantage that I was already here and they came to see me. So really, it was like either like meeting them here, meeting them there, but I I would also took my advantage of like being here, getting to learn more about like the local community of Charlottesville that is very wonderful. And yeah, and enjoying my time here. So a little bit of both. A lot of opportunities in the school, but also taking a break from here and there.
I
That
can
was a
also touch on
messy
oh,
answer.
sorry.
No,
Perfect.
go Pablo.
So during the summers, I usually did like internships and stuff. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a portal called Handshake where you can like see all of them and apply to them. I also did some internships back at home, the summer between my first and my second year, which I think is also like a great opportunity because I think it's important to not lose like touch with your local country. Um, I also tended to go back home often for like Christmas and sometimes for Thanksgiving. I went home. I think it's always nice to go home because you always sometimes feel a little homesick. And realistically, I do think that maybe not most, maybe sometime in December, most students do go home. Um, and in the summers, I think that a lot of students work here in the university, but a lot of students also work all around the US in different internships in really cool companies. You're on mute. David, you're on mute.
David?
Sorry
unmute.
again. Wow, the mute button really got me today. Well, since we're cutting short on time, we're gonna jump into the final question here. And I would like to ask Sarah to give the one piece of advice to our parents. And Steve, can we have you give one piece of advice to our students? Sarah, why don't we start with you? Sarah, you are also on mute.
Sorry, I keep doing that. My advice is very short, which is enjoy every minute because it's amazing as a parent how I'm sure it's very quick for the students, but for a parent, I think it's even quicker. So enjoy every minute and hope they all have wonderful experiences.
And I would say, you know, I can still remember the first time I left the United States to go overseas when I was a young diplomat. It was terrifying. I couldn't sleep for the few days beforehand, just worrying about would I make friends? How would I do in my job? What would the food be like? Would I be able to communicate? And so it's totally normal to feel a little intimidated, but go with it. You will enjoy it. You will, in your first weeks and months here, you will grow in ways that you never ever anticipated, and you'll feel yourself becoming a stronger, more successful human being. So keep your mind open to new experiences, new friends, strange cultures. The way we do things in America may be different from how you do things at home, but it will all be, in the end, such an enriching experience for you, and just enjoy every minute of it.
Thank you so much, Steve and Sarah. And thank you so much to our panelists for joining us today. I know everyone will benefit a lot from your experience and expertise. You are now free to turn off your camera and microphones. Thank you so much. Before we close out today's program, I'd like to direct you to more opportunity to connect with Wahoos in your region. As we mentioned earlier, some of the UVA clubs are sponsoring local in-person admitted student celebration event right now. These will be held through April 28th, which is this Sunday, and are a great opportunity for you to meet who's in your area, connect with other admitted students, and learn more about the UVA experience. You may have already received an email inviting you to one of those events, but you can also see the link in the chat or scan the QR code on your screen to learn more. The admission office has also a great opportunity for you to connect with UVA as you make your decision. And if you haven't already, please visit the International Studies website for a lot of helpful information. And that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and go Hoos.